Hello and happy Halloween! This week on the podcast, we have our very own Theater Threshold staff. The staff shares some of their favorite theater horror stories. Side note, this was recorded at 9 a.m., so if we sound tired, that's probably why.
3, 2, 1.
Hi,
and welcome to Theater Threshold Podcast Edition.
That was mad. That was mad.
I love that.
I think it was great.
We need to keep that in.
That's mad.
That's amazing.
Keep it in.
Alright. What we said, if you couldn't hear the first time, is hi! Welcome to the Theater Threshold Podcast, Spooky Edition. Today, we have some people. Let's go around. Hi, I'm Mimi.
Mean.
Hi, I'm Diana.
Hi, I'm Annalisa.
Hi, I'm Kiara.
Hi, I'm Eileen.
And we're here to tell you some spooky stories, theater-related and not. So we're going to go around, and first we're going to tell some theater-related spooky stories, and then we'll jump into more traditional ghost stories. So I'll go first, since I'm already talking. One of my worst theater mishaps or nightmares or whatever you want to call it is in the land of audio, and it has to do with a body microphone. Those are ones that the actors wear usually in a musical that are really close to their mouth so you can hear them. So we were doing Pippin, right? And the lead person, I think, was it like the player? I don't know. It was a person who had like a really prominent role, one of the main characters, leading player. Yes, thank you. And so there, like, there's a lot of dancing, as all musicals are, and everyone's really sweaty. And so it's opening night, and the main player has two body mics because one is a backup in case they like fuck up the other one. So audio is like, okay, we're backed up, we're good, everything should be fine. So he's in the middle of what's the number? It's like, I think it's called No Time at All. And we're listening backstage, and suddenly the audio gets like really murky. Like it's fine, and then the quality just starts degrading until it sounds like he's underwater. And we don't know what's going on. I'm backstage and I'm like freaking out because it's my job to make everyone sound good, right? And I'm contacting the mixer who is like does the levels in the booth, and he doesn't know what's going on. And so the guy comes back after his number and is like, fix it, like what's going on? And so I like check all of the mechanics and I check everything, and nothing is working, like nothing's fixing it. And we try the backup mic and it's the same quality. So it's like, I don't know, I'm getting stressed even talking about it. It was just so much worse because it was opening night too, and that's when all like the press people come, and it was a bad time. So it's like we just sent him back out because we don't know what to do, and he can only be off stage for a certain amount of time because he's the main player. So eventually at like a spot where he's not on stage for like a hot 2 minutes, we get to like inspect the actual element of the mic, like the diaphragm that which it records, and it is soaked in sweat. And this is what is making the mic sound gross, and both of them are soaked. And so
my god,
that was the problem. And it seems really simple, and we dealt with it through the rest of the run, but it was so stressful. So what we did is we have, you know, those little the compressed air canisters that you use to spray dust out. We had to use one of those, and every intermission I had to go up to him and ask him to take off his mics and spray the little thing with air so it wouldn't fog up. And so that never happened again, but I would never relive that moment. So that's mine.
oh my
If
god.
anyone else wants to take it away, that would be great.
You are a real one for that, Mimi. I don't know if I would take on that task.
Yeah.
I have a theater-related one, and I was 14 at the time. We were doing Beauty and the Beast, which I think we need to keep in mind when I tell this story because it's kind of crazy. But the theater that I did it at was in the downtown like area. So it was like very city like, as much as my small town could be city like. And there was this door in the back of our theater that led to this alley that is now like bolted up, but at the time we didn't have it like bolted up or locked or anything. So during our rehearsal, this I don't want to assume that she was homeless, but she had a grocery cart and, you know, like she often like hung out outside our theater, came in through the door like during our rehearsal and was just yelling, like screaming, and it scared all of us because we were all like kids. And she came in and asked us all for money, and so my director was like, hey, like, can you not be in our theater? Like, we don't really have any money. I'm so sorry. Like, we have some cookies. So we gave her cookies, but she like didn't want to leave the building. And this was like during rehearsal. And so he just kind of had all of us like stand back, and my director and stage manager, who were all adults, were just kind of like, you need to get out. And she didn't like that we wanted her to leave. And so she cursed us, all of us, because we didn't show her kindness. And like at the time we were just kind of like, okay, like sure, you're cursing us, whatever. But after that, like everything that could ever go wrong with the show went wrong from that rehearsal on. It was so bad. There's so many stories that like come from this show, but that was the start of it. And yeah, and I was Belle, and that rehearsal, like after she left, or it was the next rehearsal because we all went home after that, but I was like reading my book and I walked off the stage and like sprained my ankle because I didn't look up. But just everything that could go wrong happened. And I think it's ironic because in Beauty and the Beast gets cursed because he didn't show kindness. Yeah.
Dude.
It was crazy. But yeah.
All right, guess I'm taking away then. So I have stories actually, but I'm gonna pick one, and it's a theater related. So as you probably know from my accent that I'm not from here, and I was born and raised in Thailand for the whole like 21 years, and I heard a lot of theater stories back then. That's probably like one of the reasons that I don't want to do theater back in my home, because it has something that kind of marked me up. So okay, so theater in Thailand is kind of traditional one. It's really different than here. We don't do drama. We don't do like story like we all know. But basically, it's a dance. It's always a musical, and you always have like dancing costume and stuff from the character. The thing is, everyone believes the acting teachers always tell you to respect the costume, because we all believe that the costume always have the life of its own, the spirits in there. Everything in Thai theater always like relate to supernatural being. So every time we do the shows, like traditional shows, always have to like to show respect to another higher being, because it's all about supernatural. But the thing is, the actors who don't respect the costume or respect anything, that's when the mishap will happen. Firstly, like that's mask. We call the mask is in Thai we say that it's called huakon, and when you put it on, it's very difficult to get it off. If the acting teachers always tell the story that if you don't respect that mask thing, it's gonna stuck into your head, and you will perform. Yes, you will perform very good. Actually, like if you don't respect them, because the spirit got into you already, and after it's done, you never be able to take it off. That's the thing. Like, until you show the respect, like until you go to the place where this whole thing was made and show the respect by like be on your knees and pray for the things in you, like forgive you. That's one thing. Another thing is that the costume, the outfit itself always like, yeah, so if people don't respect them, they're gonna have a good show for sure. But it always things happen, like sometimes they just make you perform and then you got sick and die after that performance because you got cursed by not being respectful. And like in general as well, like my teachers told me a story once, like he has a night shift, so he has to work like until like 9 p.m., which is pretty much late if you're talking about like elementary schools or high school. Is nobody's there, and sometimes he's go home very late and you hear the music from the theater, like it's like someone's performing inside the theater and there's like audience, but when you open the door nobody was there. Like it seems like that that costume, everyone in the theater has a life of its own, and like they always love to perform even though nobody's there. The spirits of the thing in the theater always perform.
Mhm.
I actually I have a lot more stories, but I'm gonna take it to someone else now.
Thank you, Min. That was great. And also incredibly, incredibly creepy. Would not.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm like, I'm like a firm believer, not a firm believer, but like I like the idea that every theater like is haunted by its own ghost. Like
Absolutely.
that. Every theater is so creepy. Even the theater in the CSULB building is so creepy. I was doing a show once and the ghost light would not turn on, and I was the only one in there, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. So I went to go get Tony and he fixed it, but I did not stay there anymore. That was scary.
Was that the studio?
That was the studio. It would not
'Cause
turn
when-
on and I wanted to cry.
Yeah, when we did Wolf rehearsals, the ghost light, like, it was very hard to work with. Or, like, it wouldn't turn on for me sometimes either.
For like those, anybody listening that doesn't know, it's like you're supposed to turn on the ghost light after every rehearsal, every time you leave the space, so that like I was told that the ghosts in the theater are like satisfied, and that if the ghost light doesn't turn on, then something's gonna go wrong in your show. So I was very scared when the ghost light didn't turn on. But,
It's also so it's
Oh,
not
no.
dark when you walk in.
Yeah.
But I like
Too.
I like the ghost story better.
Yeah.
That wasn't my story though, that was just a comment. But in the summer after my senior year of high school, I was doing a show that was taking place in my high school theater. I'm not good at talking. I was the spotlight operator for it because they needed techs, but am I allowed to say the company name, or can you like bleep it out? I don't know, because this is like a bad story. It's called and it's like a bunch of little kids performing, and like they only had the actors, and my friend was stage managing it, so she like got a bunch of techs from our high school theater department, and even though I wasn't a part of it, she still had me do it. So I was a spotlight operator, and I also helped people put their mics on because I was one of like 3 people that knew how to do it. And it was like there was a bunch of kids, and they were really good. They were good at what they do. They took it like as seriously as they could. There were a few teenagers that played like the adult roles, and a couple college students that also played adult roles. We had like 2 days of rehearsal, and I thought it would go really good. And then it was opening night, and oh my god, it just went so bad. Okay, so first of all, the 2 high schoolers were dating, And I was always the one that had to put the mic on the guy. And every time I did that, his girlfriend would be breathing down my neck, glaring at me. And I'm like, I am 18. He's like 15. I don't want your man. And it was bad. And all the kids hated being mic'd because they're like, the tape gets stuck to our hair. Like, it's going to, babe. I'm sorry. It's going to. I try not to as much as possible, but you gotta. And one of the main actress, she was like 6. She refused to get mic'd until her director yelled at her that she had to, because she didn't want it getting stuck to her hair. So that was a mess. And then it was showtime, and the first act, the main actress, the little one, she missed her cue and like showed up late. And it wasn't that bad. They like played it off, but she had to sing. And it was Mary Poppins Jr., by the way, the musical. So they played it off as well as they could, but like I could tell that something was wrong just because I knew the show. I don't know if the audience could. And then there was a scene, you know the scene where like there's a kite and it like flies away and then Mary Poppins comes back and like brings it back. We used ribbon to like the kite itself is attached to a, oh god, what are they called? To a fly, one of those. And then they're like holding onto it with the ribbon and they just let the ribbon go as it flies up. But the ribbon fell off because the little actress stepped on like the excess part, so it came off. And the guy that played Bert was just like, it's flying away, as it fell on the floor. And then Mary Poppins came up and picked it up on the floor and was like, I brought your kite back. And we all just like started crying over a headset. And then act 2, well, first of all, intermission, I had to run down and backstage to go change mics, and that was just a bunch of whining from everybody. And then act 2, there was an entire scene between Bert and the children's dads in Mary Poppins. And Bert missed his entire cue, and he left the guy playing the dad just on the stage, and he was just like standing there waiting for him for like 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes, for like a minute or two. And we were like all on headset being like, yo, what's going on? Like backstage, is he gonna come out? And he never did. And so the dad just looked around and walked off stage. And they completely skipped that scene and went to the next scene. And then after like the entire show was over, we were like talking to the techs backstage. We're like, hey, what's going on? And they were like, he said it wasn't his scene. Like, we told him, yo, you need to go out there. And he looked out and was like, no, that's not my scene. I don't have to go out there. And it was, oh my God. It was just so bad. The second day, there were only 2 show days. The second one was like perfect. It went really good. But like, Jesus Christ, opening night, that was so bad. It was so bad. Everybody was really nice for the most part. The director was really cool. I got paid like $60. But God, I would not want to do that again, because that was just very, very stressful. And oh Jesus, but at least I got paid, so
Yes, get that money.
Yeah, that's what counts. Yeah.
Are you sure nobody was cursed before the show?
you know what, it probably was. They're probably like, I'm gonna curse you and have you have the worst opening night of your life, and then you'll be fine for the rest of the run.
It was the
this
6
man's whole career.
I love how you went in. You went in on them and then you were like, but they're all really nice.
But they're really
No, because it was just like 3 like really rude actors that did not want any of the techs touching them. All the college students that played in it were really respectful and really nice, and I really liked them. And then a bunch of the kids were like sweet, but high schoolers, man. As a previous high schooler, just high schoolers suck.
I agree, yeah. Especially kids. I've like never worked with kids, but I from what you say, I don't know if I ever want to. So
Yeah.
I was impressed by how well they did. Like, dang, kids got future.
yeah. All right. Who wants to take it away next?
I'll go next. I think it was last semester. No, it was literally a year ago. What am I talking about? I was in a that was solely movement based, and it was devised in like a month. And I am not a mover like that. I didn't have experience like that. But I was in the show, and then the week of like the performance, I hit my head in class, and I had gotten a mild concussion.
Oh my goodness, what?
Or like the week before, my bad. Like it was like the last week of rehearsals. And then the director was like, oh my, the doctor said I couldn't move that much, and I'm like, I'm in a movement show. This is a problem. So he was just stressed because I couldn't be in rehearsals like that. I couldn't move with them. He's like, oh my god. And then so the week of the show, I was fine for the most part. Just the spins got me. I was like, whoa. And then I had a prop. We would wear masks, and I had a little flower that was like on a magnet, and it fell off. It fell off so many times during the show, but it had to stay on there. So I would like be around the stage. I'm like trying to grab it, or like the other actors would like hand it to me. And I was like, oh my god, this is gonna look a mess. And then I would have to get lifted, and I'm not used to it, so I'm like, yeah, who told me to be in this movement show? I was just stressed, honestly. Like, I still had my concussion during show week, but, and then my prop kept falling, and at the end, it was like all crumpled up, because one of the actors, he grabbed it from me, but he like grabbed it fast, so he like crunched it in his hand, and he handed it back to me, and it was like the flower was all like like put it back. It still worked. It was fine. By the end of the show, the flower was like kind of falling apart, and we were all dying. Like our bodies were. That was just my horror story. And a comment on the theater department: when you stay late at night, it's just scary. It's creepy in there as you're walking down the halls.
It is.
I haven't had anything happen to me, thank God. Haven't seen
Not
anything.
yet.
Not yet.
Not
Now that I'm speaking it, right? As
Oh,
soon as it
no.
happens. Like, I try not to look in the mirrors or anything at night.
Or like at the pictures with the eyes on them, I'm like, can't do that.
Just pass by, I'm like, just mind your business as you're going.
Yeah.
And like in the wood shop, because the lockers are there, I'm like, oh my god, it's like sounds so creepy.
Oh my god, that's the worst part. The shop is the worst.
I'm like, oh god. And then in the basement, it's just so quiet. I'm like, is there anyone in the green room? And then there's no one. That's always weird when the green room is empty. When it's either early in the morning or late at night. I'm like,
I don't think I've ever seen the green room completely empty. I've always seen like one person in there.
Or maybe that person wasn't a person.
Oh no.
oh no, me.
All right, Eileen, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, they're like very like brief stories. Okay, so I my freshman year of high school, we put on a production of Fortinbras, which is like the kind of sequel to Hamlet, but not actually written. Like, yeah. So there's a scene in the show where the actor stabs a melon, and for some reason on opening night we didn't process that like melons can be extra juicy. So basically the person stabbed the melon and it dripped everywhere on the stage, and we didn't know how to clean it up because the show was going on, and it was hectic, and we laughed about it after. There's not like a conclusion to that story, it just was weird. And then, okay, so I come from like a small town, so we used our theater as like not just a theater, it was like our like meeting room too. Like there would be classrooms in there. So with classrooms, there are also projectors because, you know, sometimes people need to like display things. So I believe it was awesome on opening night for a show called Our Town, I believe. And one of the scenes in the show was set up so that all the actors or characters would be sat all across the stage, which it was going fine, but apparently someone clicked the wrong button. I think like there was supposed to be maybe a light switch, like a light cue or something, and they pressed the wrong button and they accidentally let the whole projector come down in front of the stage, and then like no one knew what to do because we knew how to get the projector down, but no one knew how to get the projector up. So I don't the show went on, and I mean that was near the end of the show, so at least that was good, but yeah, like half the actors were not seen after that because the projector was literally in front of them. So that was like a horror story because we just did not know how to get it back up. We were not anticipating that. Yeah, perks of living in a small town where you use your theater for like 5 different purposes. So that was my horror story. It was rough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Oh, go ahead.
Okay, imagine that watermelon is someone else's head. You got to stop every time the show begins, and like instead of that juice it would be blood. Sorry, I'm trying to make everything weird.
No, I think the melon was supposed to like represent someone's head, but like, yeah, like that was the point. But that's, oh my gosh, we should have gone out. We should just got, okay, yeah.
Just gotten an actual head.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
an
for
actual
real.
head.
All right.
Last word, everyone. I'm gonna give the last word. So just remember, when you guys back to the department, just remember every land has people die. So I believe that the spirits of people die are still in the department. So every time you go home at night, at late night, just make sure watch your back. Otherwise, somebody could be following you.
Also,
Bye.
don't go into the elevator alone.
Don't go into the elevator at all. Just
Don't
take the
do
stairs.
Don't
Take
do
the
it.
stairs.
True. Maybe don't go into the elevator ever.
Only use the elevator if you need to carry like heavy stuff.
Moving the prop lockers in
Yeah.
the elevator. Oh, hated that.
And even then, take someone with you.
Yeah.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up here because Annalise needs to go to work. But thank you.
Thank
we
you.
hope you enjoyed.
Always watch your back.
All right. See you next week. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Catch us next Tuesday for our regularly scheduled podcast, and catch us next Friday for the fashion show. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great weekend.